Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcast can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, posts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now and join the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Hey, good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on the spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's live podcast series, The Weekly Seance. I'm your host, the Reverend Dr. Paul Mekas. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment on our Facebook page. And also, don't forget to check out our new Rumble channel. Let's see, put that up there. Our new Rumble channel, the exclusive Uncensored. We're up there now. If just check on in, we're going to try to do some weekly updates on that channel. But before anything else, we want to welcome to the show for the first time, Tammy Christine Raydon. Joining us tonight, intuitive evidential medium psychic who has always felt a higher calling to help people, paranormal investigator with Afterlife Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma City, and a certified Reiki master. She's an avid crystal enthusiast and teaches classes educating people on the use of crystals for wellness, and also coaches on intuition and abilities. She's also a certified shorthand reporter licensed in the state of Oklahoma for the past 29 years, where she owns and operates her own court reporting firm, Raydon Reporting. Let's welcome to the show for the first time. Let me change the camera here. Oh, here we go. There we go. Welcome to the show tonight, Tammy Christine Raydon.
Hey. Thank you for having me.
You are very, very, very welcome. So before stuff gets crazy, we just got to warn our listeners and stuff like that. You're in the part of the country right now where you've had some quite a bit of tornadic activity.
Yes, we did.
We've been experiencing a little bit of video issues. Luckily, we haven't been experiencing too much audio issues. So if by any chance we lose you on the video line, you can call back in and we can continue the show.
Perfect.
So, other than that, so let's jump on in. How did this all start for you? I saw in your bio this started as a child.
Yes, I was about 8 years old, and I had two sisters at the time. I have a brother as well, but he wasn't born yet. And we were in our basement in Barnhart, Missouri, which is a little suburb out of St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah, we were playing with our little kitchen and having a great time. We'd had gotten this kitchen set at Christmas, and it was all the rage back in the day. And we were playing with it. And I had just walked across to go upstairs to tell my mom and dad something. And there was a figure of a full apparition standing right in front of me.
Oh.
I could explain to you how he looked like it was yesterday. He had on a baseball cap. He had on a red, kind of dusty red shirt, blue jeans that were kind of older looking. And the thing about it was he wasn't solid. He was see-through. So I could see the glass doors behind him, the fence beyond that in the yard, but he was solid like a person, but completely see-through.
Wow.
So scared me. Of course, I'm a small child. I thought he was an intruder. I think I hit 2 stairs on the landing on the way up, about a 15 landing staircase.
Yeah.
Started hollering at my parents. Again, this is like in the country. There's just a big baseball field behind our house and not a lot around. My dad took off outside with, his weapon of choice to go scare off the robbers.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad both there was just nobody there. And I kept explaining to them, but he was in the house. He wasn't out of the house. He was standing there.
Yeah.
And that was my first incident, actually.
Wow. Have you tried being in mediumship now as psychic medium? Have you tried connecting and seeing who he may have been?
I have. Again, it was so long ago. I was 8 years old. I really don't think it was familial. If it were, I think I would know by now that was a familial person, or an ancestor, but it was not. It was not.
Huh.
So that was my first instance. And then from there, I kind of always had this just higher calling, like knew I wanted to help people, knew that there was some way that I could get messages to people or change the world. I mean, and it's really hard when you're one person trying to fight against millions of problems and things like that and issues in society to try to fix something.
Yeah.
And of course, I had other things happen at my grandmother's house. She was extremely spiritual, and she was Native American. And she would always kind of tell me, when I go, I'm going to come back and give you a message. And I never, really understood what she meant by it. I kind of did, but my parents and my father were both, my mom and father were both very, you're probably just imagining that.
Yeah.
Overactive imagination. It's just coincidence that happened and you had a dream that it was today, things like that. So I kind of just quelled it, put it to bed. My grandmother would reach out and she would say things that would make me think like, well, maybe there is something more going on, but we didn't talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
And my grandmother, when she passed away, she had wanted to go back to Hawaii really bad. And she'd had a congenital heart condition, which had her having problems for quite a long time and ended up in the hospital. Wow. And after she passed, my husband and I had gone back for an anniversary trip. And it was 4th of July, sitting on the beach, and the waves are crashing in, the fireworks are going off. It's just beautiful. And it was one of the only trips my husband and I have gotten to take over to Hawaii before we had children, and life gets crazy and hectic. And for just a moment, everything was like a void. It was a complete void. No time, no space. There was no voices. There was no fireworks. And then I felt a breeze on my right ear, and I heard my grandmother say, "This is a message for your mother. Tell her that I am okay. It's beautiful here, and I will see her again one day."
Wow.
And then the void went away. The firework noise came back. Everything was back to normal. And I turned to my husband and I said, "Did you just hear anything?" And of course, he looked at me like I'm absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And I said, I swear time just stopped and I heard my grandmother. So that's kind of when I was like, okay, wait a minute. I think I need to revisit putting all of this to bed. And that was when I was about 19 years old. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Dana chimes in and says, "Tammy has helped me so much, changing the world one person at a time. Thank you so much."
Dana.
Thank you, Dana.
Sweet. I see I've got Anna's on here too, and Joanna. I see several people commenting. That's really sweet. You guys are supporting me. Thank you so much. Oh. So yeah, so I guess my big turning point though happened about 5 years ago, and this is a very, very spine-chilling story. But I had already gotten messages. I get messages. I don't hear voices. People say that, and then people think you're actually hearing voices. There's a complete difference. But us mediums, when we hear a voice, it's more like a thought.
Yeah,
and it can be a knowing, or it can be like an actual voice you hear words form, but it's not, you're not hearing voices in your head. It's something from a higher place. And I would have that happen from time to time. And then when my father passed, when I was 5 years ago, we were going down in the next day to see him. He was very, very ill. He had stage 4 cancer.
Ooh.
And I I had just a moment where I just felt very uncomfortable and I knew something was really wrong, and watched my dog get very angry and get up and move across the room. And I'm in bed and I see my mattress come up, one of those mattresses that has the memory foam. It comes
Yeah.
up, goes back down in a perfect circle.
Wow.
And as I'm watching this and knowing that I've already had that weird feeling and felt really uncomfortable, something's not right, something's here that I can't see, then the phone rang. And I went and grabbed the phone, and it was unfortunately my mother and my sister and my brother-in-law. And they told me my father just passed away.
Mm.
And as I began to be upset and cry, and I went into my living room to just kind of get away and have a conversation with him and, talk and tell him I'm so sorry I didn't make it down. My daughter's bedroom door swings open. And of course I thought, oh crud, I just woke her up. Now I've got to go explain what's going on. It's the middle of the night. And to my amazement, the door opened on its own. My daughter is asleep in bed. So now I'm feeling like, wait, I saw something and then it took me away from that. And now I'm over here and the door's opening. Then my son's phone starts playing a song. And so it's like a little trail of breadcrumbs that he's giving me.
Yeah.
And I'm just massively missing all these signals because I'm grieving. And I walked in my son's room, and my father was a Vietnam veteran. And he had always told us for as long as I can remember, when I go, I don't want you to buy an expensive casket and put me in it because I'm just going to disintegrate and go back to the earth from which I came. So don't buy an expensive casket. Just put me in a box in the ground. I mean, this is, my father speaking right off the cuff.
Yeah.
And the song on my son's phone was Alice in Chains' Man in the Box.
Wow.
And I knew immediately it was my father. It gave me the chills all over my body. It was kind of my awakening that I needed to go back to doing this again. And I heard his voice say, "You were right." Just 3 simple words. And he was a man of God. He found God. He was baptized at the end of his life. However, he never really believed in the afterlife. He always just said, oh, it's coincidence, So that message to me was kind of my epiphany that I needed to start doing this and I needed to find an outlet. And after that, it was really strange because Brooke Montoya, who was our team lead at Afterlife, actually had placed an ad on Facebook just asking if anyone wanted to join a paranormal team in our area. I did not know her. She was not a friend of mine. She was a mutual friend of other friends.
Yeah.
And she reached out and everything started to fall in place. And so I got on the paranormal team and started my mediumship practice and have been going ever since.
Wow. And you use your abilities during investigations. I would assume. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And kind of, I would say kind of separately, I wouldn't say cross-examine the evidence that everybody's gathering. How do you come in in an investigation as a medium? Do you go in as one of the case managers first, or do you go in separately away from?
Correct. Yeah, I do not like to be front loaded. That we do. I do want us, when we're done getting our first approach, I usually go in ahead of time. We write down notes on our phone. We don't share, and then kind of compare what we get. So, and that's before I don't do any of the client intake or anything like that. So I'm unaware of the events that are happening in the home, the people that live there. The only thing I typically will know is the address because you have to know where you're going.
Yeah.
And I may look at the residence or look at pictures the client sends that have nothing in them. Just here's my house to remote view.
Yeah. So, I had one case where I was blindfolded. Me and another medium were blindfolded and we were taken to the location. It was like, what?
I like that.
That was interesting. I mean, luckily it was a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, but it was a location of a murder or somebody found a body was found there and they wanted to get our opinion. They said, okay, what do you feel? And we were blindfolded the entire time until we
Yeah,
were
I think blindfolding you takes away your senses. It's that deprivation technique where you're not in your head, you're not being logical, you're not trying to see what's around and make something of it.
Yeah.
So that can be a really good tool to use to get your intuition and abilities up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was creepy at first, and then when he told me where we went, we're like, whoa. Like, okay, that makes sense.
Thanks for bringing me here. No.
Right. So how long has Afterlife Paranormal been around? This is within the last few years?
Afterlife, we have been around as a team for about 3.5 years.
Oh, okay.
So we've had members come and go along the way, and that's the team we have currently has been that long.
Wow. Did you has what seems to be the most active time of the year? Now, I'm sure you had some Did you have any investigations during COVID? During the whole lockdowns and stuff?
Yes. Yes. We actually were very busy with businesses and homes in the local area. We did take several trips, just, mask up and go. Precautions, take every precaution we could as far as, sanitation and just doing things like that to get through the COVID. But yeah, we did not slow down. I would say things maybe even increased during COVID.
Yeah, same here. I used to get a bunch of calls or emails and stuff like that because my theory is now that everybody's home.
Yeah, exactly.
Your mind is now silent. Everybody's energy is together, and people are not home long enough to experience stuff. And now that you're home all the time, it's like now people are starting to experience spirit. So
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was just a hard period too for a lot of people. And I'm sure a lot of people just financially, all different problems they were having, mental health. I mean, there's a whole lot going on during that. And being home with, like you said, just minimal things to be able to do, you absolutely just start noticing and seeing other things that you wouldn't see normally.
Yeah, it allowed people to disconnect and kind of move inward and look inward with themselves and kind of just second guess is like, what's happening, and fear. I mean, a lot of people were, had a lot of fear. And fear can also create a lot of, psychokinesis and RPSK.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely.
We have a couple more people that chimed in here. Medium, Rare, Paranormal, and The World Beyond. Tammy is a great resource, both as a medium and as a Reiki practitioner. That brings up the other part. As far as Reiki.
Thanks, Jen.
How'd you get into the Reiki?
Oh, goodness. Well, I've been a crystal enthusiast for a while. Crystals are an excellent healing process as long as you understand the mechanics behind it. Obviously, they cannot heal or cure a disease that's not been scientifically peer reviewed and proven anywhere. But the quantum theory behind it is, the law of conservation of energy, right? It can't be created nor just destroyed, just changes form. And so in that sense, since we're all vibrational creatures made up of matter and atoms, there is absolutely no reason why that vibrational energy cannot work through us. So I tend to kind of go more on my Reiki sessions to the crystal side of things and do the crystal therapy within the Reiki session. And I love distance Reiki and specialize in that. But I do Reiki here locally as well in Oklahoma City, and I'm getting that practice off the ground. I kind of got into it because it's a holistic healing, energetic transfer. And I felt like it was just calling to me as a medium. It's something that comes very naturally to find people's energy centers, their chakras off balance, and to be able to kind of send that and transfer that energy to them, how to create different positive spin and send it the other direction.
Yeah. And I'm gonna put up so people can find you if they need to contact you. Or put up your Facebook page there, so they can find you on Facebook at Tammy Christine Medium, and we'll also put your We'll also put your email up after that. Give it a little time there so people can write that down.
Yeah.
Now let's see. So, I mean, not that it's off topic, but for 29
Right.
years you've worked for you pretty much worked for the state of Oklahoma, which you
Yes.
currently do now as a certified shorthand reporter,
Yes.
licensed, and have your own firm. Have
Right.
you experienced any weird things, or used your gift in that
Okay.
facet of life?
Good question. And yes, it happened. Okay. So I can share with you a recent story. I was at a law firm and I had walked in the door, and this was the first time I had been to this law firm, but it was one of my clients that I was there that day to help. And they had a big staircase that kind of has this little nook in it. And they had an old Victrola sitting on a really pretty wood table, really old Victrola. And as I walked by, out of the corner of my eye, there was a lady standing behind it with her hands like this. And she was just smiling, the biggest smile, just grinning ear to ear with her hands around it.
Huh.
And honestly, I tried to ignore it. And because I'm at work and, I'm saying, no, spirit, this is time. I'm at work. But she just there was something this lady needed me to tell someone. And I had a message that it was a big male person that was there in the building. It was his mother's, and she had it in a garage, and he didn't know what to do with it. He was going to give it away, throw it away, just get it out of the house. And he actually had a second thought. His own intuition kicked in. He had a second thought, and he thought, I'm going to put it in the office and put it in this little prominent nook right by the stairs and just show it off to everyone.
Yeah.
And so we took a break on the deposition, and I had asked the attorney I was there for, hey, whose Victrola is that? Is there a man here that it was his mother's? And he just kind of looked at me strange, and he said, yeah, but not mine, but let me tell you who it is, and maybe you can talk to him. And he goes, why are you asking? I mean, very much confused. And I said, well, because I am getting a message from it. It's silly. I know you probably don't even want to hear this, but he goes, no, I believe in that stuff. So he went and got the gentleman. The gentleman came down and he said, are you the one asking about the Victrola? And I said, well, yeah, but let me tell you, it was your mother's. You had it in the garage. You didn't know what you were going to do with it. You were going to get rid of it, throw it away. You decided to put it here. And I just want you to know, she has told me to tell you she's extremely happy about it. And she feels so heartwarming that you found this beautiful spot to put this, to not get rid of it. You are carrying on her legacy. This was a very important piece to her. And she's extremely ecstatic that you've placed it here and wants you to always have this on show for her. Yeah. And he started crying, and he was like, oh my God, how did you know all of that? And I, just our typical answer, I don't know. Spirit told me. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
she told
she told me. And he said, what did she look like? And I described her to him, and he goes, that's crazy. He said, that's exactly what my mother looks like.
Wow.
So it was pretty neat, pretty special moment. And thank gosh I was validated, because I think I would have probably had 4 people that day that would have thought otherwise to ever call me again for depositions.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, as far as embracing, hence the title of the show,
yes,
or the topic, which we've done nothing but discuss this, and it's very intriguing. And these are the stories that people need to hear, because there's a lot of people out there that have these gifts, have these abilities, but they don't know how to embrace it. They don't know how to utilize it. Some people are afraid of it. Some people know they have it, but they don't know how to work with it. What would you suggest, or what would you like to let people know on maybe how you embraced your gifts, or how other people don't know how?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would definitely say, especially for children, when parents have children that say, Mommy, Daddy, I'm seeing something. it's okay to say, oh, you have a creative imagination and, let's go about this, but don't just shut it out, because there is something else. There is a gift. We all actually, as individuals, have intuitive abilities. Every single one of us are born with them. It's like you said, some of us can tap into it and some of us can't. It's like playing the piano.
Yeah.
I might be an okay piano player, but there's somebody that's just a genius piano player. And
Yeah.
so all of us have different intuitive abilities. It's just knowing how to tap in, how to meditate, how to get yourself quiet, how to still the mind, and be able to let these messages come in. It's all ingrained and born within each of us. It's just a matter of using it. So I always really love it when I see younger families or moms and dads that are not ignoring those nightmares their kids are having, or there's a man, mommy, who sits in the corner. These things could really be. So not necessarily always are, but it's important to not shut that down and make children or any teenager, someone that's experiencing this, feel as if they've got something wrong with them, or they're seeing things that are a problem, they're crazy. I hate to use that word, but we've heard it a million times in this field.
Yeah.
And it's not a good choice, because those people can sometimes then tend to go the wrong direction with it. And we don't want that. We want people to be operating healthy and doing this out of love and trying to help others with their gifts. Definitely not doing harm.
Yeah, and especially at a young age, like you said, when you tell a child that you're crazy and all these bad words and stuff like that, or
Right.
become violent when they start experiencing this
Right.
stuff, is I've heard stories about that.
Well, that creates fears and anxieties, and then you've got that can take you on a whole nother mental health issue
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, just for people that are like me, that kind of bury it for a while and then, start to realize, oh, wait, what am I doing? Why have I stopped doing this? Just meditate, practice. It's really fun. One of my friends and I do this thing where we look up old cold cases, and we just give each other like a tiny bit of information, maybe like a first name or a last name or a date of birth. And then we just sit in quiet and kind of meditate, figure it out, write down some things, and we try to see, what did we get? What did we get right? Because it can be validated if it's, something that's written.
That's interesting that you said that, because I did that once, and just out of the blue. I was bored sitting at the computer one night, and it was like in the middle of the night at some point, and I was like, let me check the our county arrest records. Or wait, I did that, and then I went to, I think it was like the FBI website or something like that. And I went through all the old cold cases through Lake County here in Florida, and I'm like, okay, because I never knew they had one. I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. So I spent hours on it, and I got to the point where it was like, I'm looking at all these cold cases. These are cases from back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Yeah. And you see the photograph of the person. So what I did was I just sat there and meditated, looked at the photograph, and tried to pull in the energy and see what I can get. And it's amazing.
It
what
is.
What I saw and felt. It's
right.
Interesting.
And then when you can look back at the facts and you find out, oh my gosh, how in the world did I come up with that?
Yeah.
Hey guys, that's just your intuition. That's you using your clairvoyance, your clairsentience, all your abilities that you already have ingrained within you to look into something and get information. Yeah. And I always tell people too, it's much like when you go to the grocery store and you're walking around, say you've had a bad day and not a bad day, whatever, but you feel the energy of those around you. Like, oh, that person's in a bad mood. That person's happy. That, you can just feel it. That's where I tell people to start as well, is just start paying attention to the little details and noticing things around you. We all go through life. We're all busy. We don't quiet our minds, and we don't pay attention to surroundings around us. And that's the first thing you can start doing to develop your intuition.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you're walking to a room and you feel that negative, you just feel uneased. Like,
Right.
whoa, what's that? You either leave the room or find out who's doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to get out.
Start throwing people out. No.
Yeah. What has been the most really, I'm going to wrap it all up in one thing. What has
Yeah.
been the most spookiest, scariest encounter, yet at the same time, like the outcome,
best.
like the best? Yeah.
Okay, here's my story. Sticking to it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so we absolutely adore a property that's in Atchison, Kansas. It's called the McIntyre Villa. And we have been there a number of times, all of which have been amazing. But there was one time in particular, we had so much activity. And the first night we were there, around 5 o'clock in the morning, I got touched in a way that I've never felt before. Could feel 5 fingers and a thumb literally grabbing at my stomach, and scared me. Don't get me wrong, scared me. However, I had my tape recorder there. I immediately started doing an EVP session. I mean, I was just, ready to go. But it was terrifying, yet at the same time, it was so amazing. And I thought, oh my gosh, no one is going to believe me. Now I'm going to tell the girls, I'm going to wake them up. No one is going to believe me because, I didn't know we got it on camera. Yeah. Our cameras were facing a different direction, but the owner's camera was facing where we were sleeping. And so basically you can slow the film down frame by frame. And when you do that, you absolutely see the motion. You can absolutely see my comforter being pushed down into me, and then 2 palm prints next to where it got pushed. Like somebody either sat down and then got up or pushed down. And it was really amazing because that frame by frame was to where you could click and see. But when spirit operates, they're so fast. We have to bring our energy up to spirit. Spirit has to lower theirs for us to communicate. So they move very quickly. And so the fact that we caught that frame by frame, but you can barely see it in real time, was super interesting and a real catch.
Yeah.
And we had whistling that night that we could audibly hear, that we got from several rooms, knocks in the wall when we asked for knocks back, all kinds of stuff. So it was a pretty incredible night.
Wow. You said this was in Kansas?
It's in Kansas, Atchison, Kansas.
Atchison, Kansas. Oh, if Joanna's still listening. You know where it's at? She's from Kansas.
I'm sure she does. I'm sure she does.
Yeah. Now, since the weather's been really weird there, and we've been lucky to keep the audio really good, which is awesome. Speaking about tornadoes and weird inclement weather and stuff like that, have you noticed that weather also can change the energy format and the vibration to where it and actually either see more more evidence?
It sure does. That evening, talking about specifically we had a storm roll through it, and it was just off the rails all night long.
Yeah.
So, it does change vibrational energy. I think, storms create electricity in the air. I think that all is, again, just energy.
Yeah.
So it can't be destroyed or created, but it can change forms. So that's what we got going on.
We may actually have to eventually. This is going to be audio recorded, but when I said that, your audio did a weird thing. It was like I almost hexed it. I probably did, but we could probably slow it down later. We probably got an EVP out of that, of what you just said.
Really?
Yeah. You're on my side. The audio went like weird, very
That's
weird.
Really weird. Strange.
So that's a homework project for everybody who's listening.
Okay, homework.
And watching.
Who's with me tonight? I'm sure I probably do have some spirit guides or ancestors hanging out right now.
Yep, they're standing in the room there watching you right now. They're like,
Funny
we want to
story
be in
about,
the camera. Can't see it,
I
but we
know.
may have
Well,
heard it.
that's probably my grandmother, because I actually found out long after her passing, she wanted to be a paranormal investigator. She had list and list of documents of places she wanted to go investigate, and she never got to. And I've been to several of those places. And she comes with us now, and her name's Juanita. Her name was Juanita, and we call her Juanita Badass. So she comes with us.
Right on. That's cool.
Grams
Wow.
is with me.
Yeah, that could have been her.
Yeah.
You could probably, we later when we get the audio and stuff, we can slow it down and see what came of it.
Cool.
Because it was all jumbled up. It was a blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
That's
whoa.
so weird.
Yeah, it was like, whoa.
Doesn't surprise me though.
Yeah.
I feel her around a lot, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah. So as a takeaway for our viewers and our listeners later, what is the biggest piece of advice for everybody out there that you'd like to share?
Oh gosh, I think I would just say trust yourself, trust your uniqueness, trust your abilities, trust your intuition. If you're having a day where you just feel like something's not right or it's off or you shouldn't do something, there's probably a reason. I always just say all things for a reason. All things for a reason. And my other phrase is, this too shall pass. So those are the two that it took me 50 years to really get behind, but I'm totally behind them now. And I think that, all of that just plays right into karma and positivity, and sending out what you want to get back is very important. Sending out love, because you're going to get back love. If you are constantly sending out negativity, you're going to get back negativity. So we all just need to work to make this world a much better place than it has been becoming. And I think we can do that through these holistic practices.
Yeah. Yeah. Like energy attracts like energy. If we always walk around in fear, and we're all guilty of it. I mean, I'm guilty of it. It's like there's just some things we kind of just get caught up in, and it's hard to step away and step back from it, especially what's happening today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the energy. You feel love. You surround yourself with love and light. It will come to you.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just one day at a time, just one little kind thing a day. It doesn't take that much, and use your intuition. Like I said, it's important. It's there for a reason. We all have it. It's that gut feeling. So when you get that, just trust it.
Yeah. Yep. Trust it. And for those who are listening and viewing tonight, if you feel that you have the ability and you've been seeing things or feeling things and not quite sure what it is, and you want to tap into it, you want to learn more about it, just
and reach out to a mentor.
Yeah.
Reach out to someone that has similar beliefs or similar thoughts about the afterlife, and you can get help. People are willing to help with these kind of things.
Except for a shrink. Don't go to a shrink.
But it can be a difficult road. It can be very difficult. So I would say reach out most certainly to somebody that does that kind of thing, or just have a chat with someone about it, or even go to your local parish and talk to your father, your priest.
Yeah. Or the local medium. Go to, and now with the internet the way it is, I mean, there's all kinds of people everywhere. You just stick to local and stuff, and just kind of reach out and stuff like that. But if anybody out there has any questions or like to reach out to Tammy, you can contact her. Find her on Facebook at Tammy
Christine Medium.
Yep. Tammy Christine Medium, or you can let me throw that back up there, all the thing there, and the email. You can contact her at tammychristinemedium@gmail.com, or on Facebook at Tammy Christine Medium. If you got any Reiki that you want, distant Reiki, want to learn about some crystals and how to use them, or
Absolutely.
if you're in the area, have you done any remote paranormal investigations, like someone call you in their house
I,
that's haunted and
I,
stuff, and you're like,
actually, I do. I have done some remote viewing for Warren Legacy recently. I'm an administrator for Warren Legacy Foundation also, for paranormal research.
that's right, I forgot about that. Thanks for
Yeah,
bringing that.
that's
The
okay.
Warren Legacy Foundation.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's a great foundation. We have every different kind of educator, every different kind of expert in the field. I mean, as far as you can say, there's an expert in the field. I mean, we use that phrase, but it's used lightly, of course, because there's not really an expert in the paranormal field. But we have tons of mentors, tons of people that are very, very well educated. And we really believe in helping people and making sure that everything that we're going to do for them is not going to come with harm. That is the biggest thing. You don't want to, walking into a home and immediately saying you have the D word is just not a good. It's just not a good thing to do. It's so far and few between when that's actually the case. And if that actually is the case, you would know it. And then, there are trained people to deal with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. When you have to get the church involved, or the rabbi involved, or the chief from the local tribe, the shaman, bring them in and stuff like that. But those are, and I've never, luckily I've never had to work in, never had a case. I mean, I did an exorcism, or actually a couple of them, but it was more of an attachment. It wasn't an actual full possession. It was just an attachment.
Yes, correct.
But I've worked with people who have done the actual full exorcisms, and it's not fun. It's dangerous.
No.
It's very dangerous.
Yeah, that's something I wouldn't even attempt to do. It's above my pay grade.
That's a special calling.
It definitely is. You're correct.
Yeah.
And to put someone through that and not have the education or the wherewithal to know what to do you're just harming the entire family. That's terrible, horrible. So that's Warren Legacy is a lot about educating on that kind of thing and how to paranormal investigate.
Now the Warren Legacy, that was started through the Warren family, right?
From Chris McKinnell. Okay. He is Lorraine's grandson.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, because I met John quite a few years ago. Zaffis, the the nephew. So, but well, that wraps up the show. That was a quick that was a quick 45 minutes of stuff. But stuff like this, topics like this, we could go on for hours and hours. I might do a show like that, do like a 3-hour, 4-hour, and have like 4 different guests on just back to back. Maybe like Halloween. That would be interesting. Would you be interested in doing something like that for Halloween? I can find 3 other guests, and we can do a 4-hour back to back.
Okay.
Thing.
Yeah, well, activity always picks up around then too. So
yeah,
maybe I'll have more friends visiting.
there you go. We could do it and integrated EVPs during the show.
That's right.
Right on. Cool. Well, Tammy, thank you for joining us this evening. It's a pleasure, and be safe in Oklahoma out there. When I'm not sure how much longer the weather's going to be like.
Oh, it's fine now. It's fine now.
Oh, okay.
Things come through really fast and furious, and then they're gone. So that's the only good thing about them compared to like a hurricane that takes its time for days.
Look her down for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Tammy, you have yourself a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you again for joining us, and stay in touch. If you have any new upcoming investigations that you want to share with you and your team and stuff like that, we're more than happy to have you back on the show.
Okay.
Because we do a pre-recorded show, and now that we're on Rumble as well, we can do some pre-recorded stuff too, and that way we can share some of the data that you might and any of the
Awesome.
captures that you got. So
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me tonight. I appreciate it.
you are very, very, very welcome. And thank you everybody for tuning into Conscious Radio Network's The Weekly Seance. And until next week, you have a good night.